We are Steven and Jill. Together, we've been buying and reselling land since the 90s.
Our data-centric approach leaves our buyers asking, how can you sell it so cheap?
Here on the Land Academy Show,
We answer that and more. Steven Jill here.
Hi.
Welcome to the Land Academy Show, entertaining land investment talk. I'm Steven Jack Butala.
And I'm Jill DeWit, broadcasting from sunny Southern California.
Today, Jill and I talk about this amazing American real estate investment market in 2020. Who would have thought? I never would have thought.
Yeah, I know.
It all comes down to one thing, one word: migration. I've been studying this now since March.
Yep. I just talked to a guy the other day, as a matter of fact, who's in Texas. And I said, we were talking about next places to mail. We were talking about this is what you do and what's great about you. I said, just do like Steven. You need to spend a weekend, go into a dark room, and figure out what's happening. Look at where people are going. Look at what people are doing. Look at what people are buying. We all know they're leaving New York. We all know they're leaving Chicago. We all know they're leaving LA. And it's obvious. So where are they going? And that's what you just need to be ahead of.
Here's some staggering statistics on this. In a regular year, just in a normal, this is not normal, obviously, but in a normal, this shocked me when I first read it a few years ago. 20% of the people in this country move every year. Well, that's double, and they're expecting maybe triple now. So what does that do to the real estate market? Everybody's just, you might as well throw a ticker tape parade, because especially if you're a real estate agent, all the fees that are associated with moving, and I read somewhere that U-Haul, the company where you rent the trucks to move, I think you were telling me, it's like, if you want to know where to send mail and where people are moving, find out what U-Haul rates are, because if you're moving from someplace to California, the U-Haul costs $3,000 to rent, but if you're moving out of Los Angeles to somewhere else, it costs $200. So there's the numbers are staggering when it comes to, when you really think about 40% of the population in this country is going to move this year or next year. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's like 150 million.
Oh, yeah. There was that argument.
400 million people in the country.
It was all the remote workers. That was that article that I had the other day. Do
you remember the numbers on that?
No, I don't. But it was staggering.
There's like 200 million people in this country are working remotely.
Yeah, and they're moving.
And they're tired of the smaller houses.
Yeah, and they don't have to anymore.
There's a run on refrigerators and large appliances right now, because people are staying home, probably, many of them, maybe us included, permanently. And so everybody's rushing, and it's not affecting their paycheck if they do anything online. It's not affecting anything.
Yeah.
So it's really affecting people that, like restaurants, stuff where your revenue stream's in the public. Mm-hmm. So all that adds up to positive stuff for people like us from a real estate investment standpoint. Before we get into it, though, let's take a question posted by one of our members on the landinvestors.com online community. It's free.
Is that Walder?
Yeah, Walder.
Okay. Walder wrote, "Hi, so a few months ago around April, I was thinking to stay away from infill lots due to COVID and builders won't be building. But fast forward to today, is it safe to say infill lots are good to market to again since the housing market is hot? And if not, which land type would you recommend going into 2021? Great question.
Yeah, great question. It's perfect for today on this topic. Yeah, like I said earlier, I was really wrong about this in March and April and May. I was like, hey, put your helmet on, because this market's going to crash and it's going to be terrible. And boy, I couldn't have been more wrong. At which time I said, chill out on the infill lots and get the rural vacant land marketing back up, because people are getting away from the cities. Well, I was half right. The rural vacant land couldn't be hotter. It's the hottest market I've experienced ever since the early 90s. Infill lots, yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Here's what I want you to be.
Houses, go for it.
I want you to be careful with infill lots. I'm going to give you a couple reasons why. I'll never understand this, and economists will never understand this, but there's a massive shortage for construction workers all over the country. But the unemployment rate's like 18%. So you would think that people who don't, the restaurant jobs that they used to have, you could think they could convert some of their skills to being, let's say, a carpenter or some type of construction. And for whatever reason, that doesn't translate into the national numbers that we all look at. So all I'm saying is in your quest for infill lots, do some research before you send the mail out, long before you send the mail out. Do some research on 5 to 10 markets for infill lots and find out if home builders are actually building houses there, because I'll tell you, like specifically in northern Michigan, I only know this because my sister lives there, they cannot find a crew to renovate a house, let alone build a new one. And there's a huge demand. I don't care where you slice it, there's a massive demand, especially in these Zoom cities. A massive, massive demand for new construction. Mm-hmm. Nobody can build the houses. So it's not everywhere. Right. You know, there's construction that's happening in a lot of places. But
yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of her little sleepy community too. It's partially probably because if they brought people in, they don't have places to put them.
They don't. That's
because
correct.
of the how it's like a silly little backwards system right now. They need to build more houses so they could house more people, so they can build more houses. Seriously.
Well, Jill just nailed it earlier. You can't go wrong with buying rural vacant land, and you can't go wrong with buying houses right now.
Exactly.
You just need to make sure that there are there's massive migration going on in this country, and you guessed it, people are moving to warmer climates and places that are less expensive than what they're used to dealing with. So
and where they can have more room.
So exactly. So the transition from New York to Florida has never been more hot, and I mean like more attractive for people like us to buy property. You know, they're moving from a colder climate to a warmer one, and a more expensive situation to a cheaper one, and that's happening all through the west and the southern part of the country.
Mm-hmm. It's awesome.
I'm not sure that I would be buying and selling houses in like Minnesota right now.
Okay.
Today's topic, this amazing American real estate market in 2020. This is the meat of the show. Migration is what's caused this, but that's no reason to just say, oh, migration caused it. Florida's awesome, I'm sending mail there. You have to do a lot more research than that. Figure out who's moving there and why. Figure out which zip codes. And fortunately, we have all the data to do this. This is the stuff that you learn at Land Academy. Mm-hmm. You know, which zip codes are doing really well, which zip codes aren't, and taking a look at all the things that Jill and I teach about, you know, the last 60 days versus the last 10 years versus all of that. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you once you figure out the migratory patterns, and it shouldn't take you more than a few hours on the internet, we are having huge success in our group.
Yes. I'm like, I think this is again ties into this consulting call the other day. I just said, spend some time on this. This is your job. Mm-hmm. If you're like us and you're an investor and you own your own company, you run your own business, this is what you should be doing right now. Spending your time getting ahead of it.
Yeah. Researching
where people are going, why, when, how much they're going to spend, and it's all right at your fingertips. And I was referring to, this is stuff that we do every Thursday before our weekly member calls with Land and House Academy, is we spend time looking at data and showing where to get the data and looking at days on market and how to pit zip codes and how to pit areas against each other. Because it's when you know how to do that, it takes all the guesswork out of it. There is no guessing, and there shouldn't be any guessing. You should be able to go, okay, after spending 4 hours, let's just say you went in Saturday morning, came out at lunchtime, and you're like, I think I've got a good idea where people are going. I know I watched this Chicago market. Everybody's kind of over here. Now I'm going to prove the concept, and I'm going to isolate the exact zip codes. And then when you know how to do it, like you have taught us, it's just there's always going to be 3 or 4 zip codes that just jump to the top. You're going to be like, well, this is a no-brainer.
That's right.
I know exactly what to do. I know what size of property to go for. I can, it's so great. It just keeps ties into this amazing real estate market in 2020, every single time I turn around, there's better and better tools to analyze markets and do my job. The tools I don't like are easy buttons. There are so many people that think they're experts and think that they can create a one-size-fits-all easy button where you could go from, I want to be an investor, push this button, and here you go. Here's everybody should mail, and it's already priced for you. That's not going to happen. Please don't fall for that. And it's not like you're falling for it. It's like they think they know, but there's just so many nuances to it. It's like if this was possible, if robots could do this stuff, there would be no doctors. Every doctor would be a robot. There's always going to be a nuance, and you can't account for that. You have to have a human being there watching and adjusting and understanding each market.
It takes a lot of research. So my point in writing this topic is that, there's only so many times that we can get, like on the Thursday call, for example, say, hey, by the way, there's an amazing American real estate market right now. There's only so many times you can say that.
Right.
There's only so many times you can say it during this episode. The fact is, what are you going to do about it?
Right.
And which zip codes are the best and why? And which ones work for you? Which product type works for you? What's your source of funding? What is your funding source like?
Right.
Do they like you? Do they like the dirt? And so it's getting into the caveats and the little nuances of this to make it your own, to make it work for you. But the great news is this: it's an amazing market out there, and so it's making it harder to fail. But I'll tell you, I'm not so sure. Like, let's say farmland is any more expensive than it was, let's say pre-COVID. In fact, it's not. I checked. What's cheaper is the cost of capital, which makes farmland a little bit more attractive because it's cheaper to purchase. But that affects the price anyway. So you see my point. You got to do your homework, and there's no real shortcuts.
No.
Or are there? That's what keeps us getting up in the morning.
You think there are?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to give us a couple?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I think in 1994, I was sending faxes out to people who owned long-term care facilities.
That's true.
Because I didn't have the data set to send them mail. Now I have the data set. And so that was a shortcut I developed. So yeah, there's dashboard shortcuts from a data perspective. I'm working on one right now that's going to tell us where to send mail unequivocally, nationally, which zip codes rise right to the top.
Right.
And so is that a shortcut? Yeah, but it's going to take a year for me to develop it. But once it's developed, it will be correct. And, will I test it for reason after that? Of course.
Right.
That's the real problem with a lot of this. They don't get tested for reason at the end.
Right.
But now's a great time to get into this.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good example. One of my shortcuts, I was going to say, is all the tools that we have to do our due diligence, and it just keeps getting better.
Yeah, that's
too.
a great point, Jill.
So many good mapping things now.
Yeah, like Google Earth. That's a shortcut.
Isn't that amazing? The documents I can get my hands on, mortgage documents I can get my hands on, lien reports I can get my hands on, all kinds of stuff I can do. I'm questioning, we've always questioned this, what's the point of a title agent? Don't get me started. But
we're rapidly getting to that point where we don't need that.
Exactly. I really think the only thing I'm waiting for right now, it's driving me a little bit batty, and I thought this was going to happen sooner in COVID times, which is online recording. I can't believe how many counties are still behind the times with this. Online recording and online notaries, but it's coming, I think.
Signing.
It's coming. It needs to happen. Happy you could join us today. 5 days a week, you can find us right here on the Land Academy Show.
Tomorrow, the episode on the Land Academy Show is called An Interview with Land Academy member Johnny Newsom. You are not alone in your real estate ambition. Jill and I already recorded that show, and I can safely tell you that this guy went from going into the free section of Craigslist, buying furniture. Yeah. Just going to pick up people's old furniture, cleaning it up, and reselling it. He said he was making $2,000 or $3,000 a month
feeding his family.
Yeah, in a rural part of, I can't remember, somewhere in the center of the country.
Yeah.
And I think it's Kentucky or Tennessee.
Right. I want to say outside Nashville.
Yeah, so I think I wanted to say
I think
Nashville
it was
too.
Nashville, yeah.
Learned about Land Academy, started buying and selling land. He's obviously now doing the exact same thing, buying inexpensive, super inexpensive dirt and reselling it for more, which is what we all do for a living. And he's, times 10 his income.
And he doesn't need a moving truck or a warehouse.
Exactly. Now all his family members are involved, his parents and all kinds of stuff. So
it's really good.
It's a good story.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times we interview some people and it's like, they say something like we interviewed Lori Phillips. She's like, yeah, I used to work for this massive company, trillions of dollars or billions of dollars. And it's not that far of a stretch to see somebody who's that bright do well. In that I don't mean bright, I mean at that level of as an executive, and I don't use that term in a positive way. But when you get somebody like Johnny Newsom, whose grassroots gets buy for this, sell for this, clean the product up just a little bit in between, and then rinse and repeat. That just in my soul, it just makes me happy for some reason. Where it's not all this complicated math and financing and ivory tower stuff. I just love it. It's such a treat to talk to people like that who have done well, grassroots wise.
Awesome. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you found our content valuable and we appreciate your support. If you haven't already, please get on over to our YouTube channel and hit the subscribe button.
And your comments and suggestions help us to create the type of content you're here for. Hitting the like button on your favorite episodes helps to support our channel's algorithm and gauge your interest for future shows.
We are Steve and Jill.
I missed it.
You did.
Information
and inspiration
to buy undervalued property.